Madhavasam Prabhu is Patita Kripaya Sri Guru Tamnatosmi Gurave Kaura Chandraya Radhikai Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya Hema Padyavyachchavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namah Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya Veda Govinda Damoda Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava, Hey Sakeji Govinda Damodara Madhave Sham Sundar Shikanda Shikara Smaraha Sumurali Manora Radhika Raska Mama Kripa Nidhe Supriya Charana Kim Kurim Guru Tvai Vasmi Najivami Tvayabana Iti Vigyaya Devi Tam Nama Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadhya Paramaradatam, Gurupada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashto Tarasatasi, Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada and all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Vancha
Shri Gurudeva ki Jai.
By the causeless mercy of Sri Gauranga Gauranga, for 6 days we have been discussing the 6 Sandarbhas of Srila Jiva Goswami Pada. So, we have discussed the 4 Sandarbhas addressing the subject matter of Sambandha Gyan, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, and Krishna Sandarbha. It was replete with so much Siddhanta. Siddhanta Biliya Chetina Karayalas. Yahoite Krishna lagi sudrida manas. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad said, when it comes to Siddhanta, the Vaishnava dialectic, then nakro alas, don't be lazy. It is not so easy to understand, but anyway, one should make an effort. And it will be very worthwhile because Jahoite Krishna lagi sudrida manas. When you enter into Siddhanta, then your mind will become very steady and fixed on Sri Krishna. A person cannot enter into that Siddhanta by themselves. One has to hear from Bhagavad Guru. As Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami instructed, there was one Brahmin. He tried to teach himself Srimad Bhagavatam. But he thought he understood, but he did not understand. So Swarup Damodar Goswami told him, Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnava Rastane Ekanta Asrai Koru Chaitanya Charani. If you want to read Srimad Bhagavatam, then go and sit at the feet of a pure Vaishnava. And also take exclusive shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, actually the Pratipadya Vishay, the subject matter established by Srimad Bhagavatam, is the glory of Radha's Prem. It was an unknown. Prema nama adbhutata sravana patakata kasyanam nama himna ko veta kasya brindavana mepina mahamadurisha pravesha ko vajanati radham paramarasam chamatkara madurasimam ekas chaitanya chandraha paramakarunaya savamavischakaraha. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he said, Prema nama adbhutata. Who had ever heard the glories of the holy name? Who had heard of such a prem like Srimati Radhika? Who could understand the sweetness of the forest of Vrindavan? These things had never even entered into the pathway of the ears of anyone. Who knew that the love of Radhika is the supreme limit of all rasa? Ekas Chaitanya Chandra Paramakarunaya Savamavischakara. Only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he uncovered all of these things and distributed through his associates. So, Ekanta Asrai Karo Chaitanya Charani. Chaitanyara Bhakta Gana Nitya Karo Sangha. Tabito Janibe Siddhanta Samudra Taranga. If one will associate Nitya Karo Sangha, that means regularly, every day, with the near and dear associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then by their mercy, Tabito Janibe Siddhanta Samudra Taranga, you can dive into the waves of Siddhanta. Mundane ideas, they're very structural and fixed, but this Siddhanta is, depends where you are in the ocean, it looks different. So, 4 Sandarbhas, we're discussing the Sambandha Gyan. Then this morning we discussed Bhakti Sandarbha on the path, the process. How to understand the terminology of Bhakti. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all these words. By Vidvad Rudhi Vritti. Not by the conventional sense in which these words are used by ordinary people, hearing, chanting and remembering. What does it actually mean? In the context of Bhakti, when it is used by the self-realized souls. It's not the same thing. So this we discussed this morning. Now, on the last day, in the last class, your highest topic. So very few people are qualified, especially me. for this subject. So I'm only just touching a little bit at the end after so much Siddhanta. Because Priti Sandarbha deals with Priti, pure love. Priti means bhakti, but especially Priti goes all the way up through the stages: Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav, Ruddha Bhav, Adiruddha Bhav, Modan, Mohan and Madanakya Mahabhav. So these are the very highest topics. In Priti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad describes that this love becomes rasatmak, full of rasa. And he describes the ingredients of rasa, the stayabhavs, the foundational emotions, the vibhavs, the stimulations, the anubhavs, reactions, sattvic bhavs, spontaneous reactions within the body, and the sanchari bhavs, vyabhachari bhavs, transitory assisting emotions which are like waves rising and falling in the ocean of love. He describes all the stages of prem, different rasas. He describes rasabhas and how to reconcile also certain parts of Srimad Bhagavatam which seem to have rasabhas but actually not. So there are so many important topics in this Priti Sandarbha. Rasa is like one palace, Rasa Mahal. So if you want to construct a palace, then you have to make a very strong foundation first. Otherwise, if you don't make a deep foundation when you build your palace, the whole thing will crumble and collapse. So in the same way, the Sambandha Tattva and Abhideya Tattva, these are the foundation. So one should have a very strong foundation of Tattva Siddhanta, and then on this one can build very high and glorious Rasa Mahal, the palace of Prema Rasa. Now, Priti. What does Priti mean? The word Priti has two senses. In one sense, it means happiness. So the synonyms of Priti are Sukham, happiness, Mut, delight, Pramod, also like jubilation, Harsha, this is also jubilation, euphoria, Ananda. These are all the different synonyms of Priti. So it means great happiness. And Priti also means Priyata. Priyata means love. So it is synonymous with Bhav, the emotion of love. Soharda, intimate love. So these are all implied by Priti. But we should know, though in Priti there is happiness, Priti is a happiness where the subject is not actually looking for any happiness at all. If we take the word Priti to mean love, and we think, yes, the goal of bhakti, of practicing bhakti is to attain this love. But we have our own idea of what love means. And because we think we know what love means, then we may not make an investigation to find out, does this word Priti or Prem, this goal of our life that we're aiming for, is that the same as this idea that we've collected about love just in mundane dealings in the world? Are they the same or not? No, they are quite different. So, for example, someone might say, I love ice cream. So, then you say, oh, ice cream. And then when you eat it, you feel great joy, sukh, happiness. But never for a moment do you think about the happiness of the ice cream. So, there is a subject and an object. And you are the one who is doing the loving of the ice cream. And that loving of the ice cream is an event. It's an event. Oh yes, now I'm loving it. And you have worked towards that event and experiencing that happiness for yourself without any thought of the object. So this is not actually love. This is just icha, worldly desire. And the same is there with dvesha. Icha and dvesha. We love things, or we desire things, or we hate things. So, the verbs to desire or to love some icha, ichati, and dvesh, to hate, they are transitive verbs. You have a subject and an object, and the subject is doing the loving or the hating to the object. But the verb from Priti comes from Pridatu. Prinati. Prinati, he loves. So this verb in Sanskrit, Prinati, is not a transitive verb. You know, a transitive verb takes an object. It's an intransitive verb. So, if you say, the devotee loves Krishna, then you say, Bhaktaha Krishnai Prinati. The devotee, Bhaktaha Prinati, loves Krishnai. Here, not Krishnam. If Krishna were the object of his love, and it were a transitive verb, that he is the karta, the doer, then it would be Krishnam. He loves Krishna, the object, but it isn't. Because Prinati is an intransitive verb, so that which he loves is in the locative case. Adhikarana, the locative case. So Krishnai. Locative case means in Krishna. He loves in Krishna. So, this is very important, because if Krishna were the object, then loving him would be like an action that you do, that you are in control of, and which is an event by which you get happiness. Though you do get happiness from it, but it's incidental. But Priti, love, is not like that. You are not karta, it's not something that you do. It is something that happens. And it is not an event. For example, if you get the chance to serve Krishna, then this is an event. But if you want to serve him, but you don't get the chance to serve him, then it's still Priti. In other words, just the desire to serve him at every moment is Priti and gives joy, whether the actual chance to serve him comes or not. Or what to speak of, if one has the chance to serve him, then there's even more joy, because the joy of the one who has Priti is related to Sri Krishna's joy. But Sri Krishna is pleased if by the devotee just also wanting to please him. So, Priti is like this. If we would say that the devotee is the subject and Krishna is the object and the devotee is the doer, then it would seem as if the love is coming from the devotee. But what is Priti? Priti is Krishna's Swarup Shakti. The Ananda within the Swarup of Krishna manifests outwardly as Ladini Shakti, and it is a gift of Krishna upon the devotee. It is non-different from Krishna's Swarup, in such a way that when Krishna desires something, then that Swarup Shakti in the devotee desires to fulfill that desire. Or if the devotee gets the feeling that he wants to serve Krishna in a particular way, I want to feed Krishna, then Krishna starts to feel hungry. Whether or not he's eaten so much already. Because this Swarup Shakti is part of his Swarup. And it's in the heart of the devotee. So, it does not take an object because it's intransitive. The devotee is not the karta. He is not in control of it. Love is something that happens. If he were to turn on the love and turn off the love, if the control were with him, then this Priti could not be Nitya Siddha. So understand, when Srila Rupa Goswami describes sadhana, Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasad sadhanabhida, the engagement of the senses in the activities of bhakti, the angas of bhakti, hearing, chanting and remembering, for the purpose of attaining a particular bhav, is called sadhana. That is, if you're hearing, chanting and remembering, but you don't know what type of bhav you are trying to attain, then your practice is not sadhana. One has to know, what type of bhav, what is my sadhya, my goal? And then fine-tune and refine all your hearing and chanting and remembering, so it's one pointed towards that goal. So Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhanabhida. Then someone may say, so by doing sadhan, do you generate this bhav? Rupa Goswami said, no. Nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam ridi sadyata. This bhav is eternally perfect. It already exists. It is Krishna's own Swarup Shakti, and it is there in the hearts of his eternal associates. You cannot generate it. Only our sadhana prepares the heart to become a receptacle wherein prakatyam, that eternally perfect mood, happens to us. Nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam ridi sadyata. And now the devotee is not doing. He's not karta. He is just in the flow. The prem is happening to him. And it's already eternally perfect. And it is full of joy. When you come in contact with the sense object that you are desirous of, then that contact, because in the sense object there's some sattva. Otherwise it couldn't maintain. It would just be transmuting all the time completely. So there's a certain amount of sattva in the sense objects. So when you touch them, then one gets a touch of sattva, and it makes the chitta expand. Sukha. Chitta expands and you feel happiness. But the sense object itself, though there's some sattva, sense objects are mainly rajasic and tamasic. Mainly tamasic actually. Because the tanmatras are transformation of false ego in tamagun. So you get a quick blast of happiness, followed by tamas. You become dull. Your senses, your mind, everything becomes dull. Sense gratification makes you stupid. So if you want to be more stupid, then do more sense gratification. If you want to be less stupid and become more intelligent, don't engage in sense gratification. So, the consciousness is expanding. Or in the times of pain, then it's contracting, the chitta, expanding and contracting. So there's sukha. But when a person does bhakti, when he's just desiring to serve Krishna, or actually serving Krishna directly, then just the movement of Priti makes ullas. The consciousness expands. And the more Krishna is pleased, then the more the consciousness expands. So one's joy is fully correlated to Krishna's joy, without any consideration of one's own happiness whatsoever. Nothing at all. And this bhakti, ahoitikiya pratiyata, it cannot be stopped. It's unstoppable. So many illustrations are there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. His father tried to kill him in so many ways. With poison, with stampeding elephants, throwing him off a cliff. But his bhakti was happening all the time. Nothing could stop it. So fear cannot get in the way. The gopis of Vrindavan also. Their in-laws locked them in their home. But it cannot check. They still want to serve Krishna and please Krishna under all circumstances. It cannot even be stopped by death. That's why the examples are given in Srimad Bhagavatam of Chitraketu Maharaj. He was cursed by Parvati and he fell down, became a demon, Vritrasur. But even as Vritrasur, in a battle with Indra, with both of his arms cut off, and Indra is soaring off his head with a thunderbolt weapon. But Ajata Pakshari Vamatara. Oh my Lord, I only want to, at every moment, feel this spontaneous devotion to you. Be in the state of feeling intense separation from you. Like a baby bird who's just been born with no feathers. Have you seen small baby birds? They're just some skin. They can't move, they can't fly. And they go, and they open their mouth. They're like, oh, just a big mouth. They're so desperate. They're so intense. When the mother brings food. So even Chitraketu Maharaj, he died, became a demon and was being cut to pieces in a battle. And all he can think is, oh my Lord, I want to have the eagerness like that baby bird. Then Vitrasur thought, oh, this example is not exactly perfect. Because the bird doesn't exactly love the mother bird. He's thinking about the tasty insects that the mother bird is bringing. So then he said, Vatsaratam Shudata. Oh, just like a baby cow, a calf. How the calf at the time of milking is tied with a rope. And the cowherd boy brings the mother cow. And then the calf is pulling on the rope. And the baby calf is so eager to drink the milk of the mother. So let me have eagerness like this. So the baby bird is only thinking. But the baby calf is also doing kirtan. So this he thought, then Vitrasur thought this example is better. Because the insects were separate from the mother bird. But this milk is inside the mother. But still it's not the same as the mother. So this example is not perfect. So then he said, Priyam Priva Vushitam Vishanna. Oh, my Lord, may I be like a beloved, a woman whose hero has gone far away. And she's waiting for him to return. She's thinking of him. She's crying and calling his name. And she's also thinking of Seva. When he'll come back, then I will feed him, fan him, I'll massage him and serve him in all intimate ways. So she's thinking like this and crying. Virahaya Kankshe. May I have such love with intense separation. So Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said, pure Priti has been expressed by Vitrasura. And it proves that this love, when it happens to you, nothing can stop it. Even death. Another example is Bharat Maharaj. He died and became a deer, but even his deer body, his bhakti was flowing. Again, he gave up that body and became Jadabharat in a Brahmin family, and his bhakti was flowing even more. Like this. So this Priti, when it happens, it is completely nirgun, transcendental, and nothing can impede it in any way. So, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, he is quoting from the supplements of the Vedas, Mata Sruti Vachan. Bhakti evainam nayati. Bhakti evainam darshayati. Bhakti vashaha purusho bhakti eva bhuyasi. Very important statement from the Vedas, Vedic supplements. Bhakti evainam nayati. Only bhakti brings you to Krishna, to the Supreme Lord. Bhakti evanam darshayati. Only bhakti causes one to have the vision and see the Supreme Lord. Bhakti vasha purusho. Only bhakti is so powerful that it controls the Supreme Lord. Bhakti eva bhuyasi. Therefore, bhakti is the greatest. So, Kavi, one of the 9 Yogendras, Kavi Yogendra, in the 11th canto, he gives a description of the nature of bhakti, some of the glories of bhakti. So we can contemplate the glories of bhakti. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo virakti anratya chaisa trika eka kala. You can stand up and...
Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayana Parayana Jadahankarana Shana Rupanugamrita Prema Prayojanate Namaha. Vancha Kalpatrubhescha Kripa Sindhopi Vacha Adidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo. So Shri Gurudeva ordered me to speak about this shloka, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktir pareshanu bhavo viraktir anyatra chaishatrika eka kala prapadya manasya tashnadasyu tushti pushtik shudu payornugasam. Which means that just as we experience every day in our life, that when we are eating, when you are feeling some anger, angry, then by eating some food, automatically 3 things are happening. So this small example is given to show how is the effect of those who are practicing actually pure bhakti. Not bhakti mixed with any other jnana, yoga, or any other material desire, no? Just as we know the shloka of Uttam Bhakti, the same way. According to the shloka, then if you practice like this, under the guidance in Anugasti of a pure devotee, only then by their blessing, then 3 symptoms can happen to us. So by this, we can have the confirm that we are actually practicing pure bhakti and not anything mixed with any other thing. So just by eating some food, you get 3 things. The hunger that you was feeling before is going away, and all of this will be gradually, like he says, bite by bite, no? Step by step. It will go gradually away. So our hunger will go away, then we will feel some nourishment, and also the strength will come.
Pleasure, the pleasure. Tushti is the pleasure, the satisfaction. Pushpti is the nourishment, and the bhakti, the detachment.
And the detachment. Then, but one very important word is there, pareshanu bhavo virakti anyatra prapadya manasya is there. So prapadya manasya means, just as we heard today, how Shri Jiva Goswami starts with Sharanapati, with surrender. To whom? Because the living entity in this world, Jiva Sakshana Hitate, Guru Chitrav Shiksha Guru Hoy Krishna Mahanta Swarupa, no? Because the Jiva in this world cannot see, cannot perceive the Supreme Lord, which is present already in his heart. Therefore he come out as a guru. Therefore the living entity in this world cannot directly surrender to the Supreme Lord, but must surrender to Guru first. So in this verse it is said that all this, you can enter pure bhakti and you can actually have this free symptom only if first you do Sharanapati. First you surrender to Guru, and then by this process, slowly entering the path of pure bhakti. So here it says Bhaktir Pareshanubhavo Viraktir. The three symptoms of bhakti when enter our heart, it will be Bhaktir first. It means that you will be practicing pure bhakti, and the effect will be that the mood of the Brajabasi will come into your heart. It means you will set all the desire you have, because in our line we are very lucky to have our Gurudev as a Brajabasi, so this mood should come in our heart. If you will have a different Guru and a different line, different Sampradaya, then that mood should come. So in our case, the mood of Brajabasi, the eternal associate of Srimati Radhika and Krishna, and especially because Gauranga Mahaprabhu bring the Radha Dasyam, Manjari Bhav. So in this mood should come in our heart, and we can check it day by day, moment by moment. We should check. Very important that we are not just spacing out and doing only the external activities, because the internal mood, it is very important. Otherwise, just like if you have a green, if you want to have a ripe mango, you cannot start from any other things. You cannot start from any potato, tomato, or whatever is it. You will never get a ripe mango. You must start from a green mango, which means you start from surrendering to Guru and practicing, and slowly you will reach Nishta, Bhakti, etc., then Bhav, and etc. You will get Krishna Prema in the end. So Bhakti should be there, and in few words like this, you should have this mood as your goal will be. So as the eternal associate of Srimati Radhika, Shri Radha and Krishna. Then Pareshanubhavo and Viraktir. Then Pareshanubhavo means that some realization should come of the form of Krishna, as we heard from Jiva Goswami, Partanam Damnar Shavanam Antakaram Shuddhartam Peksham Shuddesha Antakarane Rupa Shravanena Tat Udoy Yagata Bhavati. Which means he explained very precisely from Nam, Rup, Gun, Parika, then Seva, then Lila, like this. We cannot jump from zero to receiving initiation or full of an art and then jumping to imagine the Lila or like that. So this bhakti, when it's practiced, is a pure bhakti. It gives the first realization of the Supreme Lord, and it proves that this our spiritual path is authentic. It is not just a mundane path, very simple, that it may tell you will not have the confirm right now about who is the Supreme Lord, that you need to wait after death. And then you will realize it. You will realize it right now. It's only a question of if this pure eternal law of the eternal associate is manifesting or not into your heart. If he is not manifested, then Krishna realization will not come. If he is there, even a little bit, then Krishna automatically comes, because he actually decides to come when the Lord is there. He decides to come. So the proof that Bhakti is there is because the realization should be there. When you are chanting, when you are hearing Harikatha, then it should be there. It should be there the vision of the, according to your level of purity of the heart, then Nam, Rup, Gun, etc. you will see, you will manifest in your heart. No? Like that Shutekshitapatona Nonata Pumsam. When you are hearing, because you are in the Shrotapanta, in the path of hearing, so when you are hearing, actually, as we heard today, it is non-different from seeing. Shruta Ekshita, hearing through the eyes. So like this, Bhakti will give you Pareshanubhavo.
Seeing through the ears.
Seeing through the ears, yes. Seeing through the ears. Then Viraktir, automatically also, this path of Bhakti will give you detachment, because this detachment actually is not forced. In the beginning, can be forced by our intelligence. No, I should give up this and that attachment because I heard from scripture that is unfavorable to progress. But then when Rasovarjam Rasolpyasya Parandristvani Vartate, then automatically when you taste some higher taste, automatically, spontaneously, you will give up the lower taste. So, because only those who actually taste some fruit of bhakti from the spiritual world, who have the vision of the beauty of Krishna, the beautiful relationship within his associates, the beauty of Goloka Vrindavan, then when they open their eyes again to this mortal world full of envy and everything is made of material element, automatically they not feeling anymore any attraction, because also they are not identified with the body, and especially also they are not identified with to be the enjoyer of the environment. But every environment is friendly and favorable for offering everything to Krishna. So they will automatically feel this natural detachment without any, how to say, any imposement of your intelligence. No, it will be natural. So this is some meaning of that.
So understand, tusti pusti shud apayo nugasam. Anugasam with each bite. When a person eats, then they feel tushti, some pleasure. Tushti, satisfaction. Pushti, before they were weak, but now they're feeling nourished. So their life is being saved and their life is being maintained and nourished. And Shuddhapayo means the disappearance of hunger. These three things take place. So you know, when you're eating, you experience it. No, you don't have to ask for someone, can you give me a certificate to prove whether I've eaten or not. You feel it yourself. So bhakti is like that. Prapadyamanasya means for one who is surrendered. Then these results will come, step by step by step. What are the results? Bhakti parishano viraktiya. First, bhakti. Here, bhakti means like tushti. There is a happiness in it. It is not about your own happiness. It's only about Krishna's happiness. But automatically, you have the ullas. The chitta is shining and expanding. So that joy is there. The seva Priti, the tendency to serve, is growing. The Bhagavad Prapt Abhilas, I want to attain Krishna. Anukul Abhilas, I want to serve Him in a way that's just right for Him. Very favorable. And Sohad Abhilas, to have very intimate friendship with Him. So these Abhilas, these desires are increasing moment by moment. And as they're increasing, the happiness is increasing. But without thinking about one's own happiness. So, what is very glorious here is that Kavi Yogendra, he's not saying that when you become perfect in bhakti, then you'll start to experience something. He's saying, Prabhatyamanas, as soon as you surrender, some joy will come. Now, the joy is there, the seva Priti is increasing, and then bhakti parasha anubhav, means anubhav, realization of paresh, Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord. So this is compared to nourishment. Because when you eat the food, it sustains you, it saves your life. So the devotee feels, I will die without Krishna. And then Sri Krishna manifests his beautiful swarup. And says, oh, welcome to my Vrindavan. Very beautiful, look. Look, kadamba trees with shining kadamba flowers. Have you ever seen kadamba tree? So beautiful. You know, like in the West we have a Christmas tree. And they put all bowls, yeah? All the bowls on the Christmas. So kadamba flowers are not like flowers with the petals like that. They're actually like round, shining yellow. And very soft also. Like this. Kadamba trees in the forest. And Krishna appears and so brings the devotee to his beautiful Vrindavan. And this saves the devotee's life. So it's like pushti. If you are starving, you are really hungry. And then someone gives you food, then it saves your life and nourishes. So in the same way, the parisha anubhav, it saves the life of the devotee. and nourishes him. He becomes stronger. And virakti. Now, this image used in this verse is very vivid. Just like a hungry person, they finally arrive at the dinner table and there's a plate of food. Then how are they? They have avesh in that food. They're completely absorbed. They don't want to watch TV or they don't want to do anything. They're so hungry. And they just become absorbed in that. If anyone comes and tries to distract them, it's a nuisance. Oh, please, excuse me, I'm busy. So if someone is actually surrendered, and they're experiencing that joy, they are like this in all of their devotional practices. How they're engaged in hearing, chanting, remembering, studying Shastra, learning verses, discussing Harikatha, dancing in Kirtan, serving the deities, like a hungry person. And they don't have time for anything else. So, he virakti doesn't mean tyag. And then he gives up. He gives up things. Because the word tyag means to give up enjoyable things. But for this devotee, enjoyable things don't exist. So there are no enjoyable things to give up. Because his avesh, his absorption in serving Krishna is so dense. It's so impenetrable. That everything he sees, it's all things for Krishna's enjoyment. Just like the greedy person is thinking, this food is for my enjoyment. The devotee is greedy, thinking that it's all food for Krishna. How can I take this? Krishna will be very happy if I can give him this, if I can give him this. How can I utilize this to please Krishna? So what is the question of tyag, giving up? No, yukta vairagya. So the devotee is in that mood, very, very greedy. His joy is increasing as he's giving joy to Krishna. His savourability is increasing. His realizations are coming and giving him life. And does not do tyag, renunciation. He's virakta. He's detached from enjoying. Because he's already enjoying to the max. He's enjoying so much already without seeking any enjoyment. And he just takes everything and uses it in Krishna's service. So this is a very beautiful image spoken by Kavi Yogendra in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There it is. Now, in Priti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad also speaks about the different types of mukti, liberation, to show that Priti is superior to liberation. Salokya Shasti Samipya Sarupapya Ekatvam Apyuta Diyamanam Nagrananti Binamat Sevana Jana. Srila Kapil Dev, he says to Devahuti that there are 5 types of liberation. Salokya, to live on the same planet as the Lord. Sarupya, to have a form like the Lord. Shashti, to have opulences like the Lord. Samipya, to stay close to the Lord. And Sayujya, Ekatva, to be liberated and enter into Brahman and have the impersonal experience of liberation. So, pure devotees, they never accept the impersonal liberation. But even the 4 types of personal liberation, if it's an obstacle for their service, they won't accept. Diyamanam, even if they're given, the devotee, nagrinanti, he will not accept it. So, Srila Jiva Goswami takes his time to explain what are the features of these different types of liberation. For example, in Salokya, living on the same planet as the Lord, or having the same opulences as the Lord, then one will generally not see their Ishtadev outwardly. He just meditates on him in the heart. Because he may be living on the same planet and having opulences, but he does not have samipya to always be close. So the example is Jai and Vijay. Jai and Vijay are guarding the gates of Vaikuntha. But Lord Narayan very rarely comes to the gate. He is enjoying inside with Lakshmi and other devotees. So Jai and Vijay, they are there and they think of the Lord in the heart. So samipya can be accepted to be close to the Lord. But the devotee, he just wants to serve the Lord in his particular mood, and automatically these different types of liberation which are relevant to his service, they'll be attained without any extraneous endeavor. Now, in regard to Salokya Mukti, there's a very, in the 10th Anucheda of Priti Sandarbha, there's a very interesting paragraph. There it is said, Vaikuntasya Bhagavato Jyotir Angsa Bhut Vaikunta Loke Shobha Rupa Ya Anantamurtayas Tatra Vartante Tasam Ekaya Saha Muktasya Ikasya Murti Bhagavata Kriyata Iti Vaikuntasya Murti Iva Murti Yesham Ityuktam. The meaning is that in Vaikunta there are Anantamurti, Vasanti Yatta Purushaha. In Vaikunta there are unlimited murtis. And these murtis exist, they are Dote Angsa Bhut. They're like particles of light in the rays emanating from the body of the Lord of Vaikunta. And each one of them is a spiritual body. And when a jiva from this world is mukta, liberated, then his atma and one of those, the Supreme Lord makes that atma and one of those spiritual forms one. And then in that spiritual form he serves the Lord. Huh? So, some persons, they have an idea that, someone will have to tell you, this is your form there. Otherwise you cannot get it. But this is not written anywhere in 400,000 verses of Jiva Goswami. We discussed in Bhakti Sandarbha how one gets this Swarup this morning, in the morning class, with the verses that he has used. Kita Bringen Nyaya. Now, many of our acharyas in our line of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur have said that the Swarup is in the heart. And here, it is said, in the Jyoti emanating from the Lord of Vaikuntha, all the murtis are there. So, devotees have been fighting over this for so many years. But what you should understand is, because our acharyas, they are presenting the very much Nam Pradhan Vichar. Vichar which is predominated by emphasis on the chanting of the holy name. So, it is said, Mayopa Bhrimita Bhumna Brahmanananta Shaktina Bhuteshu Gosharupena Visheshuneva Lakshate. Srila Jiva Goswami Pada has said this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in Bhagavad Sandarbha. The meaning is that the Supreme Lord has put the syllable Om in every living entity's heart. And this is, as this spout, as it begins to manifest in the form of the holy name, it manifests Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And there, in the Jyoti Angsabhut of Bhagavan, your Swarup is there. Understand? So what is written here in Priti Sandarbha, and what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other acharyas said, it's the same thing. It just depends on whether you understand the Spot Dharma, the self-manifesting nature of transcendental sound, and how that Nada Brahma has been put in the heart of everyone, as described by Jiva Goswami in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, and described in 11th canto and 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So these looks like two different views, and devotees in one group and in another group and another group, they have been at war with each other for over 100 years over this. But actually it's a very simple thing. So you reconcile in this way. Now, and just because Priti Sandarbha is very big and we have a short time, and just touching on some highlights, some jewels from that ocean of Priti Sandarbha. Srila Jiva Goswami describes the glories of Priti and the glories of the ashray, the abodes of love, various devotees. So gradually he comes up to the highest abode of love. Who is that? Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam. Once I was traveling and I met with some scholars. And one scholar was saying, why do you Gaudiyas say that the gopis are so great? Because the queens of Dwarka are also so great. Rukmini and Satyabhama and others. So you should not put a special emphasis, because they've also been glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in answer to this question, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is saying that when Krishna from Dwarka came to Kurukshetra, he came with 16,108 queens. And at the same time, Nanda Maharaj and the Brijbasis on their bullock carts came from Braja. And they also arrived there at Kurukshetra. So, at that time, the queens of Dwarka, they had some chance to see Braja Gopis. And afterwards, they were meeting with Draupadi. So not the 8 principal queens, but the other 16,100 queens. They were discussing with Draupadi. And they said to Draupadi, Kama yama aitasya Srimat Padrajasriya Kucha Kumkuma Gandadya Murdna Bodha Gadabrita. O Draupadi, O saintly lady, we don't want the dominion over the earth. Yudhishthira Maharaj is the emperor and Draupadi is his wife. So she's the empress of the whole world. They are queens of Krishna in Dwarka. In Dwarka, Krishna is not even the king. Ugrasen is the king. And Krishna bows down to him as his humble subject. Though he's a prince in the Yadu dynasty. So the queens, Krishna's princesses of the Yadu dynasty, they say to Draupadi, we don't want to be like you, being the empress of the whole world. We don't desire to become the kings of heaven, like Indra, where there is hundreds of times more enjoyment. Oh, we don't want to rule like Lord Brahma, over Brahmalok, where there's so much more happiness and control of the whole universe. We don't want even mukti, liberation. We don't even want to have the happiness of liberation in Vaikuntha. Then what do you want? So they said, Kama yama etasya srimat padarajasriya. We only want to have the touch upon our heads of the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, which is mixed with the kumkum of Sri. That's all. They don't say who, just Sri. The kumkum of Sri. So kumkum is the pollen from the center of the lotus flowers. Reddish, very fragrant. And the gopis smear it on the upper portion of their breast. So on the lower portion they put kasturi, and in the middle chandan. So when they hold Krishna's lotus feet on their hearts, then that kumkum comes on his feet. So then when Krishna's walking, he's returning from the Kunj in the morning and he's walking on the grass at Govardhan and going home, then his foot dust is mixed with the kumkum and is left there. So then the queens, they say, Brajastriyo yad vanchanti pulindyastrina virudaha gavas charayato gopa padaspasham mahatmana. We want that same contact with Sri Krishna's feet, that Brajastriyo yad vanchanti, that the gopis of Vrindavan desire. Pulindyas, which the Pulindi girls, the Aborigine tribal girls who are outside the Varnashram Dharma, living in the uncivilized tribes in the forest near Govardhan. They're the Pulindis. Mali and Bringi, especially. There are two friends, Mali and Bringi. One day, they were wandering by Govardhan. And Mali and Bringi saw, oh, what is that? There was something red on the grass. And they ran there. And then they took that kumkum from the grass, and when they smelled the fragrance of it, their hair stood on end and they became overwhelmed with intense desire. And they could not check themselves. They're very rustic. They just rubbed it on their faces and on their bodies. And then just by this touch of the kumkum, all their pain of their kama pida, the pain of their lust, it was completely disappeared. So Radhika herself has said, Purna pulinda urgaya padabjaraga Shri kumkumena dayatastana manditena Tadashana trinarushitena Limpantya anana kucheshu jaustadadhim. Oh, Radhika feeling as if she has no love at all and her life is not successful. She cries, Purna pulinda urgaya padabjaraga. These Aborigine girls who live in the forest at Govardhan, they are Purna, complete. Their lives are successful. Because when they see some kumkum on the grass coming from the breast of Krishna's beloved, Krishna's Dayita, who she doesn't say who it is. It's her own kumkum, but she's not thinking. They're so fortunate because they take that and all their desires are fulfilled by the touch of that kumkum. Radhika cries like this. When? In separation? No. Even in the kunj with Sri Krishna, in the embrace of Sri Krishna. As they're enjoying their beautiful Nikunj Vilas, Radhika becomes lost in separation and says, Purna, and thinks, oh, the Pulindi girls are so fortunate. This is one of the symptoms of Madanakya Mahabhav. To glorify anyone who has even the slightest connection with something that has a connection with Krishna. And think that that person is more fortunate. So, here, come back to Kurukshetra for a moment. The queens of Dwarka, they're in Kurukshetra and telling Draupadi, we desire the touch of Krishna's lotus feet, which is desired by the gopis of Vrindavan. Vanchanti is in the present tense, because as they're speaking, they're seeing it all right now. Vanchanti Brajastriya Pulindyas, which is desired by the Pulindis. Trina Viruda, which is desired by the grass even. The grass is also there at Govardhan. When will I get the touch of Krishna's lotus feet? Aspandanam gatimatam pulakastarunam. In Venugit, it is said that when Krishna plays his flute, then the trees, they get romance, pulak. Like a human being, they have hair standing on end, the trees, sprouts burst out. Like the horripilation on the trees. So the trees, the grass, they're also alive and they're also hankering for the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. So he said, Trina Viruda, Gavas, Charato Gopyaha. And even it is desired by the cowherd boys. Now the reason the cowherd boys are mentioned last here is because even though, now this is very important because some people say that the Priyanama Sakhas are in Madhurya Rasa. Because it is said, Rupa Goswami in Ujjwal Nilamani, he said, Atyantika Rahasyagya Sakibhava Samasrita. That the Priyanama Sakhas like Ujjwal, Subal, Madhu Mangal, they know Krishna's very confidential pastimes, Atyantika Rahasya. So they are Yantika Rahasyagya, the knowers of extremely confidential secret things. The other boys don't know about Sri Krishna's very confidential Nikunja pastimes. But the Priyanama Sakhas, they know about these things and they assist. They go. One boy will go, Subal will go to get Chandravali, to Radhika to meet with Krishna. Another boy will be connected to Chandravali's group, another one to Bhadra's group, and so on. So, they know very confidential things about Krishna's Leela. And they have Sakibhav Samavrita. They're covered with the Sakibhav. They're in the shelter of Sakibhav. So then someone thinks, oh, they're like Sakis? Because they have Sakibhav? No. This is not what the meaning is. They are males. So Jiva Goswami comments, they have been mentioned last because even though they do not have eligibility for Madhur Rasa, but they have some entrance, some participation in those pastimes. You see, because to have a rasa you need the sthayi bhav. So if your sthayi bhav is madhurati, it will turn into madhuras. But if your sthayi bhav is sakyarati, it will not turn into madhurasa. So, sometimes people, they quote, there's a verse in Ujjwal Nilamani where Rupa Manjari said, Rupa Manjari is saying, I cannot express the great fortune of Subal. Subal is so fortunate that if Krishna has a quarrel with his beloved and she leaves him, then Subal will go there and make a plea on Krishna's behalf and change her mind and bring her back to him. And when Sri Krishna is lying and perspiring in the embrace of his beloved, then Subal will fan them. So people say, so he's doing service like a Manjari, fanning Krishna and his beloved? No. You know, sometimes when you glorify someone, then you can use the Udata Alankar. Udata Alankar means the poetic embellishment of an astronomical exaggeration. So in the commentaries on this verse, Aracharya said, what Subal is saying, this is, actually Jiva Goswami, he says, this is the poetic embellishment of an astronomical exaggeration. There's no way that Subal can fan Krishna and Radhika in the Kunj when they're embracing. No, it's impossible. So this is it's just Rupa Manjari just going off and saying how glorious Subal is. Because those who have love, they're very generous and they glorify others. To the max and beyond. But Srila Vishwanath Thakur, he gives another explanation. He said, yes, it's true, he does fan, but in one kunj, there is a ceiling fan. And there's a rope and it goes to a pulley outside, and he's sitting outside and pulling the rope. And inside the ceiling fan is going like this. So, please come back to Kurukshetra. So, the queens of Dwarka are telling Draupadi, we want that touch of Krishna's lotus feet, that the gopis desire, that the Pulindi girls desire, that even the grass desires, that some cowherd boys who are privy to some of the secrets of Madhurya Rasa, that they desire also. We want that. So now the question comes, they said they want the touch of Krishna's lotus feet, but with the dust which is mixed with the kumkum from Sri. So Srila Jiva Goswami Padi goes into an analysis. How can we identify this person, Sri? So first of all, the general meaning of Sri is Lakshmi Devi. But you know that Uddhav has prayed, Nayam Sriyanga Unatantarate Prasada Swayochishtam Nalina Ganda Rucham Kutanya Rasotsavasa Bujadanda Grihita Kanta Labdarisham Yaudagaj Brajasundarinam. Uddhav ji was crying and glorifying the gopis, saying that the mercy that Krishna gave to the gopis during the Rasa Leela, by embracing them with his arms like dandas, with his strong arms, that mercy was never given to Nayam Sriyanga. It was never given to Lakshmi Devi. So we can cross her off the list of candidates. Okay, so maybe Sri can mean Rukmini. Then, no. Why? Because they said we want the dust which is desired by the gopis of Vrindavan and the cows and the Pulindigos. So that was when Krishna was young. He didn't get married to Rukmini till much later. So in his Vrindavan Leela, he didn't know Rukmini, so it's not her foot dust. Then he gives an example from the Matsya Purana. So there it is said, Rukmini dwaravatyam tu Radha Vrindavane bane. That when you see the word Sri, this is a rule of interpretation. If you see the word Sri and the context is Vaikuntha, it means Lakshmi Devi. If you see the word Sri and the context is Dwarka, it means Rukmini. But if you see the word Sri and the context is Vrindavan, it means Srimati Radhika. So when Shukdev Goswami is speaking the Rasa Leela, Sri Sukha Uvacha means Radharani's parrot said. You should take Sri to mean Radharani. Also when Mahaprabhu says, Chaito Darpanamajanam, Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, not Krishna Sankirtanam. No, never. Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So what does Sri mean? Jai Jai Sri Radhe. So in this way, Srila Jiva Goswami is establishing that out of all the various consorts, the consorts of Vaikuntha like Lakshmi Devi, the consorts of Dwarka like Rukmini and Satyabhama, and among all the gopis even, Srimati Radhika she is supreme. Now, we're moving along, we're going a little further into Priti Sandarbha, Anuched 365. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said that the tirobhav, the foundational emotion of Shringa Rasa, is of two types. Sakshad Upabhogatmak. Sakshad Upabhogatmak. This tirobhav, which involves the direct union, romantic union with Sri Krishna. Sakshad direct. Upabhogatmak. And the second one is called Tad Anumodanatmak. That means, Anumodan means approval. That one gets a joy from approving of Krishna's meeting, romantic meeting, with another heroine. Tad Upabhogatmak. So, these terms are sometimes confused because some scholars have written that gopis have two types of gopis. Some who have Sambhog Ichamai and Samatatadbhav Ichamai. So some scholars have said Sambhog Ichamai means like Radhika, Chandravali and the Nayakas. They desire to meet with Krishna and enjoy union with him. And Tatadbhav Ichamai means that they don't want to meet with Krishna directly themselves, but Sakhis and Manjaris, they want to experience the joy of their group leaders meeting with Krishna. So this has been told, and these two moods, Sambhogi Chamai and Tatadbhavi Chamai, have been identified by some scholars with these two types of tirobhav in Shringa Rasa, Sakshad Upabhogatmak and the Tadanumodan Atmak. But all of this is completely incorrect. This is the first two, these things, Sambhogi Chamaya and Tatat Bhavichamani, don't mean this. And secondly, they're not equal with these two things either. So you should understand it clearly. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, in his commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Durgam Sangamani Tika, and also in his commentary on Ujjwanilamani, Lochan Rochani Tika, he explained that Sambhogi Chamai means that bhakti, which is made out of the mood, I want to unite with Krishna intimately. And this is Kubja's mood. Kubja has this mood. Because whether Krishna wants to enjoy with her in that way or not, this is not her concern. She wants to meet with Krishna in the Sambhog Lila. And Tat Tat Bhav Ichamai means whatever. Tat Tat means whatever. And Bhav means the joy, the mood. Whatever mood Krishna is in, whatever gives joy to Krishna, that's what I want. In other words, there's absolutely no consideration of one's own happiness. So all the Braja Gopis, they are all, from top to bottom, the example of Tat Tat Bhav Ichamai. So this comes up because in Ujjwala Nilamani, one of the symptoms of the Pragalbha Nayika, the heroine is very, very bold, is that she's has utsuk, great eagerness for amorous loving pastimes. So then in the commentary, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad and Srila Vishwacharya Thakur, they both say, well, it seems like then she's Sambhogi Chamai, the Pragalbha Nayak is very, very eager for loving pastimes. And then both of them, they say, no, this is not true. Sambhogi Chamai is Kubja. It just means that Tatat Bhavi Chamai, they only want to please Krishna. So when Sri Krishna wants to have very intimate loving pastimes, then they have no shyness at all. Those who are Pragalbha, they are very, very bold. They have no hesitation. So you should understand in this way, Sambhogi Ichamai and Tatat Bhav Ichamai. Now, one time, there's a video you can see. I am sitting with Anantadas Babaji and with Ujjwanilamani Tikas, and we're arguing about this point. And we read carefully, then in the end he said, yes, it's correct. Because there's so much confusion on this, I wanted to clear it. So, now we're coming to a separate subject. Here, Sakshad Upabhogatmak and Tad Anumod Atmak, which have been erroneously identified with these two categories that we discussed before. So the reason why it's quite different is Srila Jiva Goswami Pad gives some examples of each one. So the first one of the Sakshad Upabhogatmak, he gives an example from Venugit. Krishnam niriksha vanitutsama rupashilam. Sutwa tekshita. Devyo vimana gatayo sa Krishna sara brasya prasuna kabara mumuhu vinibhya. Here gopis are saying, when Krishna plays his flute, then Krishnam nirikshavanitutsava rupa shilam. See Krishna, he looks so beautiful. Shatwachatad konitavenu vivikta gitam. When he plays very clear and beautiful notes on his flute, then he is like a vanitutsava, a festival for all women. All women see him and think, this is a great festival of joy. Not only human beings, but devyo vimana gatayasa. Sahanuna Smaranuna Sara. Even the demigoddesses who are flying in the aeroplanes in the sky, Smaranuna Sara, they have smara, very intense desire. Brasya Prasuna Kabara, and their hair is tied into a braid, and then flowers are put in the braid. So sometimes, people know that when Krishna plays his flute, the demigods shower flowers. So it's not that the demigods are showering the flowers, but when the goddesses become intensely inflicted by so much lust, then their bodies undergo transformations and their hair becomes loose. And when the hair becomes loose, then the flowers fall out. And they fall from the sky. And this. So this is an example of Sakshat Upabhogatmak. And here, those wives of the Devatas, they actually have Sambhogi Chamai. So here's an example of Sambhogi Chamai included with Sakshat Upabhog Atmak. But now Jiva Goswami will give more examples which will include the gopis. Before he does that, he gives another example. 10:48:9 Sahusyatamiha prasta dinani katichinmaya ramaswa nutsave chaktum sangam te tem buru hekshana. Kubja said to Sri Krishna, please stay with me here for a few more days and enjoy with me. I cannot give up your association, O lotus-eyed one. So Kubja was a hunchback. And Krishna said, oh, can you give me some of that fragrant sandalwood and other very fragrant cooling pastes? And she was so attracted to him, so she smeared the ointments on the body of Krishna. And Krishna was very pleased. Balaram was very pleased because he has a dark complexion. Light complexion. And she smeared blue color on Balaram. And seeing the blue color smeared on his body, then Balaram was reminded of Krishna. So she gave the blue ointment for Balaram. But for Krishna, then she smeared golden ointment. And it reminded him of Radhika. So he was so happy that he stepped on her toes and he put 2 fingers under her chin and went and gave her the chiropractic adjustment. And now she became straight and very, very beautiful. And then Krishna was leaving, but she shamelessly could not stop herself, and she grabbed his dhoti and she was pulling his dhoti. And Krishna was really embarrassed in front of his friends. And she said this, oh please stay here, come to my place and stay with me for a few days. I cannot give up your association. Krishna said, I am busy now, but I'll fulfill your desire later. So, here, Kubja is an example of Sakshat Upabhogatmak, that the tirobhav has leads to the rasa of direct union with Krishna. Again, this is actually the example of Sambhog Ichamai, if you take that term from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But then, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, he gives another example of the queens of Dwarka. And then he gives the example of Radhika herself. Yatte sujata charuam burham staneshu vitashana priyadadi mahikakasheshu. How Radhika is in the Nikunja. She holds the lotus feet of Sri Krishna on her heart. This is the meeting of the hero and the heroine is such. The younger gopis don't know, so the older gopis give them some advice. Oh, when you meet with your beloved, first you should fan him. Then you should take his lotus feet and hold on your heart. And then you should give some tambul. And in this way, you can be promoted from a dasi to a naika. That means from approaching Krishna like his servant to becoming his heroine. So, but we don't. This is for the group leaders and for the sakis, but not for the dasis of Radhika. So that means that this type of service to the beloved is the prastavna. That means the introduction. if there's a drama, there's some introduction called the prastavna. So in the same way, these types of services, they are the prastavna of loving pastimes. You understand? Otherwise, after the loving pastimes, then one of the symptoms of Mahabhav is Tatsu kepyati sankaya kinatvam. Even though Krishna is completely satisfied, he is completely happy, but the heroine who has the Rudra Mahabhav, she's in complete anxiety. She's becoming emaciated and thin with anxiety. Even when Krishna is completely happy and completely satisfied, she's emaciated with anxiety, thinking that perhaps he's not happy. So that's called Tatso Kepyati Shankaya. Even though he's fully happy, but one is filled with anxiety that he's undergoing some suffering. So even when Krishna is completely happy, then the heroine may hold his lotus feet on her heart, and even holding the lotus feet on her heart, thinking this is also giving him suffering, because his feet are too soft, and my heart is too hard, and she's so worried. So this is upabhog atmik, sakshat upabhog atmik. But there's only thinking of Krishna's happiness. So it has to be tatadbhavi chamai. You understand? So you can see here, it is not that the two phrases, sambhogi chamai and tatadbhavi chamai, first they are misunderstood. It is Kubja and the wives of the demigods, the Pulindi girls, they're all in that category. But gopis are all in tatadbhavi chamai. Now these two groups do not correspond to upabhog atmak and anumodan atmak. Because within upabhog atmik, you have both. You have both the sambhogi chamai of the Pulindi girls, of Kubja, of the wives of the demigods, and you have the queens of Dwarka, and you also have Radhika and the gopis of Vrindavan also. So, some people say that the Sakhis, they don't experience the Sakshat Upabhogatmak Rasa. So Jiva Goswami is saying no. Then after giving the example of Radhika, he also gives the example of the Sakhis of the heroine. Like the Sakhis of Chandravali and of Radhika. And he illustrates this by in the Rasa Leela. After Krishna disappeared, and then he suddenly appeared again. Radhika Ramana Ambujanayana Gopi Puranadana Manmata Manmata Tasamavir Butchori Ismayamana Mukambuja Pitambara Darashagvi Sakshan Manmata Manmata. He appeared so beautiful that even he's churning the heart of Cupid. Or we can say that Krishna is himself like Cupid and his heart is being churned by Radhika. Many meanings to this important verse of Rasalila. But when he reappeared, then all the gopis responded in different ways. Chandravali came and sat down beneath him and held his feet on her heart. Then another gopi came and put Krishna's arm on her shoulder. So they were submissive gopis. Dakshinya Bhav. But Radhika's Sakhis, they stayed at some distance. Like Vishaka, she was looking at Krishna, staring with unblinking eyes, because she was a bit upset with what he had done. And taking Krishna into her heart through her eyes. And she was feeling great joy. Why? Because she saw that Krishna was afraid. Because even though Chandravali had come and Shaiba and Padma and other gopis had come, but there was some fear on his face. Because Radhika was standing at a distance and shooting him with arrows of her glance. So in this way, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad is giving even the moods of Sakhis, having a sthayi bhav, by which they also experience sometimes the Sakshat Upabhog Atmak Rasa. Because Radhika wants. They never. Yadyapi Sakira Krishna Sangam Nahiman. Tatapi Radhika Yatna Karya Sangam. Even though Lalita and Vishaka, they never independently want to meet with Krishna. But Radharani, by tricks and traps, Nana Chali Ratnakari Sangama Karai, by different tricks and traps, she arranges for the Sakhis to meet with Krishna. And when they experience the Sakshat Upabhogatmak Rasa, then Radhika, she feels 10 million times more happiness even than when she meets with Krishna herself. Anyonye Vishuddha Prain Kori Rasa Pushta. Tasabara Prema Deki Krishna Hoi Tushta. And when Krishna sees that the Sakhis are more happy when Radhika meets with him, and he sees that Radhika is more happy when the Sakhis meet with him, and he sees what love they have for each other, then Krishna becomes completely tushta, completely satisfied. Anyon ye Vishuddha Prem, the pure love between Radhika and her Sakhis. Kori Rasa Pushta, it nourishes the ras. Tasavara Prema Deki Krishna Hoi Tushta, and Krishna is completely satisfied. So all these pastimes are to give happiness to Krishna. So now, we've discussed the Sakshat Upabhog Atmak Staibhav of nature, of that type of Staibhav for Sringar Rasa. Now we come to the Ata Anumodatmaka. So this also has two types. One is called Tadiya Lesha Anumodan. There's a little bit of approval. Tadiya Lesh. There's a little bit. It's for the person who has it, it's not a little bit. But you'll see from the examples. Srila Jiva Goswami gives a beautiful example that when Rukmini her marriage was being arranged to Shishupal, but Krishna came there, and the residents, all the residents of the Kundina, of Vidarbha, then they said, Asyaiva Bharya Bhavitam Rukmiti Arti Napara. Only Rukmini and no one else deserves to become his wife. And he has such flawless beauty that only he is a suitable husband for our princess Rukmini. So they love Rukmini because she's their princess of their city. And when they saw Krishna, they had love for him. So they thought, only Krishna should marry her and only she's fit to marry Krishna. So they had anumodan, they had approval of their relationship. And then they prayed, Kinchit sucharitam yannas tena tushtas tilokakrit. May Achyuta, the creator of all the three worlds, be satisfied with whatever pious deeds we have done. And show his mercy by accepting the hand of Rukmini. In other words, all of them, they were thinking, whatever piety we've done, we're donating this now. But let him marry our princess. And so in this way, all the residents, they're different people. Male, female, young, old, different castes, all types of people. Because of their loyalty to Rukmini. And they saw Krishna, they had anumodan. But it was Tadiya Lesh. It's considered to be only a little bit. Because they're not thinking about the very confidential aspects of Sringar Rasa. Whereas, now the other type of Tadanumodan Atmak is called Sakshat Tadanumodan Atmak. The direct approval of the meeting of the hero and the heroine. The direct approval of Purna Kanta Bhav. The full mood of the lover and beloved's meeting. So then for this, Srila Jiva Goswami Padi gives two examples. Apyena patya pagatai priyayeva gatrais tanvan vrisham sakit sunirvita achatova kantanga sanga kuchukunkum ranjitaya kundasra jakula pate iyavati ganga. When Sri Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela, Then Braj Gopis were searching everywhere. And after some time they found Sri Krishna's lotus feet in the dust of Vrindavan. You see, the dust of Vrindavan even gives mercy to the gopis. Oh, how can we find Krishna? They spoke to Tulsi, they spoke to the trees, they spoke to the flowers, no one gave them an answer. But the dust of Vrindavan gave them the answer. Oh, follow. Krishna is here, follow me. So they began to follow the footprints. And after some time they saw that there was one heroine with him. Anaya radito nunam bhagavan Harishra. Oh, she's most fortunate. She must have served Hari, the Supreme Lord, so much that now all her desires have been fulfilled, that the cowherd boy Govinda has, leaving all of us, has taken her away alone with him. So then they were following the two sets of footprints. So then, as they were going through the forest, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually in his Bhagavad Akar Marichimala, he comments that these two verses given by Jiva Goswami Pad from Srimad Bhagavatam, they were spoken by the Manjaris. From the bhav of the verse you can understand. So one gopi is saying, "Oh Sakhi," but she's not talking to her Sakhi. Apyena patnya pagata. Aina patni means female deer. She looked and she saw a female deer in the forest. And she's calling that deer her Sakhi. Oh Sakhi, has Achyuta Krishna been here, Priyayeva, with his beloved? Here Priya means Radhika. Radhika's name is all over Srimad Bhagavatam, and in this verse the word Priya, Priyatama, Radha Krishna. Priya means Radhika here. So, oh Sakhi, oh dear female dear, have you seen Achyuta passing this way along with his beloved? Tanvandrisham sunevritim, giving joy to your eyes. So you know, deer in the forest, they eat all of these types of herbs and mushrooms and things that make them give them dilated pupils. They already have very big eyes, right? And then when they eat these things, so you see the deer, the big eye. So if a person is intoxicated and they're just in bliss, then their eyes become big like this. So when one manjari is searching and sees a female deer in the forest with big eyes, because sarva bhutesu ya pasyat bhagavam bhavam atmanaha, the Mahabhagavat sees their own mood in others. So because the manjari, the only joy of her life is by her eyes, she sees the meeting of Radha and Krishna. So when she sees, like her big eyes, her eyes look when she sees Radha and Krishna, those eyes on the deer, she says, "Oh, Sakhi, you must be my Sakhi." Because you also leave your husband to go to Krishna. And because your eyes are in so much bliss, that you must have seen Krishna and his beloved walking by here. So then, Kantanga Sanga Kucha Kunkuma Ranjitaya Kundasa Jaklopate Ivavati Ganda. Then the deer was looking towards the gopis and looking to the forest. Like this. And then that gopi said, "Oh," to her friend, "Look, the deer wants to take us. She wants to show us where to find Radha and Krishna." So then those gopis went forward, but then that deer was startled and jumped into the forest, dark forest at night. And they couldn't. Where did she go? We don't know. But as they approached, then there was a breeze blowing. Iyavati gandaha. The breeze was blowing. And on that breeze, Kantanga Sanga Kuja Kunkuma Ranjitaya Kundasraja, there were two fragrances. One fragrance was Kundasraja, the fragrance of a garland of jasmine flowers. And they know that Krishna was wearing that garland. And the other fragrance was the kuchu kumkum. The kumkum from the breast of his beloved. So they smelt the fragrance of the kumkum and the fragrance of the kunda flowers, and they smelled these two fragrances mixed together. So that they could, as they were smelling that, Lokottara Padathanam Prabhava Kyopyanagalaha. Supernatural substances have a power. Ratim Tadvishayam Chaso Basyate Turnamekada. That the transcendental subject has a substance, has a supernatural power that manifests love and the object of love at the same time. So by smelling the fragrance in the breeze of the kumkum of Radhika and the fragrance of the jasmine of Sri Krishna, his jasmine garland, then they had, from that udipana, they had this purity in their hearts of Radha Krishna. And when they could smell the two fragrances mixed together, then they had this purity of Radha Krishna's embrace. So they were seeing the Nikunja pastimes, but without seeing them. Just by the udipana of seeing the eyes of the deer, and then the mixture of these two fragrances in the breeze. So then one gopi said, oh, Radha Krishna must be very close by, because I can smell these fragrances. So there are many other secrets in this verse. We'll not dwell on that today. So actually, now we're coming to the end of our festival. So it is most appropriate that we have ended on this subject of the Sakshad Anumodan Atmak Bhav. Those who fully and directly appreciate their Sthai Bhav is of the nature of just the appreciation of Radha Krishna's meeting. That is the only thing that gives them joy. Therefore, our Prayojan Tattva, this is the Prayojans, our Prayojan Tattva Acharya, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad. So often he speaks about the kumkum of Radhika and the footlack of Radhika. He prayed, Swapnepi kim sumukite charnam bujata Rajat paraga pat vasa vibhushanena Shobam param matitaram matam uttamangam Bibrad bhavisyati kadama sartanama. Raghunath Das Goswami was given a place on the bank of Radhakund by Sanatan Goswami Pad. He was always absorbed in internally serving Srimati Radhika. In his Soniyama Prakash Stotram, he said, may I pass my life only using the leaf cups of Braj and drinking the buttermilk from the cows of Braj. I don't want anything if it doesn't say made in Braj on it. He has so much nishta in the Dham. So may my life pass in this simple way. And at the end of my life, may I depart from this world in the kirtan and in the company of my very dear Jiva Goswami. Remember, Jiva Goswami is the youngest of 6 Goswamis. So when Raghunath Das Goswami was very old and in the intense separation from Radhika, he was thinking, oh, but I will be blessed if in my last moment Jiva Goswami can be there. How humble he is. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he's chanting Harinam. And sometimes he's in outer consciousness, Bhaya Dasha. Sometimes he goes in the Antardasha, internal consciousness. Then he cannot remember anything, that he's Raghunath Das Goswami or anything. Then he's in Siddhavesh as Rati Manjari, very joyful. But sometimes his vision of service, that spurti disappears, and then he comes in Arda Bhaya Dasha, half internal, half external. This mood is very, very pathetic. Then he will cry. Oh, as the Rati Manjari, and feeling too much separation. And then gradually he'll come back into his sadhaka vesh, or I am Raghunath Das. So, as we were discussing, we are not the doers. Bhakti happens to us. By sadhana you practice, and then when this bhakti comes, bhav comes, then after that there's no sadhana. In other words, your activities of your senses are not instigated from the level of the senses. Everything the devotee does is just an anubhav, it's a reaction to the feelings in his heart. This is the difference between sadhana and then bhav bhakti. Sadhana is indriya prerana, instigated yourself from the platform of the senses. But when this priti comes, then everything is out of your control, and all the activities are only the reactions to the internal mood. So in this way, the devotee is chanting and sometimes going into the internal state and sometimes coming out and going back. And in this way, by meeting and separation, it's like a saw. You know, if a saw is cutting wood, it goes this way and then that way. So it seems to be going in different directions, but both directions make it go deeper and deeper. So in the same way, Yoga Maya, and the Leela Shakti, and Bhakti Devi herself is causing the experience of meeting and separation. And each time the love is going deeper and deeper. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he was chanting. The meaning of the verse: O Sumukhi, O Radhika, who has a beautiful face, when, even in a dream, will the name of my head become successful? The head is called Uttamanga, the highest limb. But when will my head be justified in being called Uttamanga, the highest limb? Why? Because when will it be decorated with the footlack and kumkum from your lotus feet? He's praying like this. So the inner bhav, this is our prayojan. We want to be Rupanuga, followers of Rupa Goswami. But even Rupa Goswami himself is not Rupanuga. Because he's Rupa. But the prominent Rupanuga is Raghunath Das Goswami, who is following him. So he's our prayojan Tattva Acharya. He was chanting Harinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Not by imagination, but by this both dharma of Nam. He was having a vision of the eternal, inconceivable, and self-manifesting pastimes of Radha and Krishna. He saw that it was morning time, a very beautiful time. Night is coming to an end. And Radha and Krishna are waking up in the beautiful Nikunj. Radharani's ornaments are broken and scattered here and there. Her hair is disheveled. She looks very beautiful. Though Krishna is Kamadev with 5 arrows. When Radhika wakes up in the morning, then she has 5 arrows and shoots him. That means her hair is disheveled here and there. And her lips have become pale. Her eyeliner is missing. It's still there, but it's on Krishna's lips. And in this way, Radhika, the various features of Radhika, the Upabhukta Nayika, the heroine who has been joyed by the hero, are more beautiful. So when Krishna wakes up and sees Radhika, he becomes full of Cupid's arrows. At that time, Radhika, by her eyes, she's telling Krishna. So earlier you made the mistake, you said that you can hear with the eyes. So actually it's correct, you can, but not on that verse. This verse, okay? This verse. That's called netrakata. Netrakata. The eyes can speak. And the eyes who are seeing can hear. Also, the netrakata. So Radhika, by her glance, she's telling Krishna, oh, the God of love was resting in my heart, but you brought him out to do puja. And now the puja is over. And the deity is going back. But you have not cleaned all the paraphernalia. So if you offer arti to the deities, you cannot just do the art and then leave the paraphernalia there. You have to go and clean everything and prepare it for the next service. So by her eyes, Radhika said this. So then Krishna was very happy because he had a chance now to serve Srimati Radhika. At that time, Lalita and Vishaka, they have to be in some distance. But Tambulapana Padamadana Payodana Bisara Dibi Brinda Ranya Maresarin Pratyaya Stoshanti Priya Prana Presta Saki Kulada Pikila Sankojita Bhumika Keli Bhumish Rupamandri Makasa Datska Sangsraye. Rupamandri and others, even when Lalita and Vishaka, they're too shy to approach Radha Krishna when they're alone. But they can freely come inside the kunj to serve them, to bring water, to bring tambul, to fan them, to massage them. So though by Padmaryada, that means by their status, Lalita and Vishaka are superior in the group. By status, Padmaryada, they are superior. And the Manjus have a low position within the group. But by Seva Sobhagya, by the fortune of their service opportunities, they are more fortunate. So Lalita and Vishaka can come to Rupa Manjari, who's outside the kunj, and say, oh, can we come in yet? And then Rupa Manjari will look and say, no, please wait a little. Because Radha Krishna will become embarrassed in the presence of their contemporaries, their equals. But the maidservants, they're somewhat younger, and Radhika considers them to be like her own body. So you have no shyness in the presence of your own limbs. So at that time, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari and others, they are there, and Krishna begins to comb the hair of Radhika and decorate her. Radhika is looking at Krishna in such a way. Rupa Goswami Pad said, Hari Padanak Koti Pristapayanta Sima Tatamapi Kalayantim Pranakote Rabishtam Pramodita Madirakshi Brindavaidagya Diksha Guru Mati Guru Kirtim Radhika Marchayami. I worship that Radhika, who is like the Diksha Guru of all the lotus-eyed gopis of Vrindavan. And Haripada Nakakoti Prastaparianta Simha. Radhika considers that not the lotus feet of Krishna, but the toenail of Krishna. No, not the toenail of Krishna, the tip of the toenail. No, the tip of the toenail, the most outermost reach of the tip of Sri Krishna's toenail is more dear to Radhika than her own millions and millions of lives. So when Radhika, with her very beautiful blue lotus eyes, looks at Krishna with so much love, then Sri Krishna is in complete bliss. And just as Radhika, out of love, takes the lotus feet of Krishna on her heart, Krishna, seeing the love of Radhika, he cannot resist. And he kneels down before Radhika, who is sitting on the bed, and takes the lotus feet of Radhika on his heart. So Radhika's feet, they are painted with alta, with lac. But now, because of the perspiration from their loving pastimes, it's been washed away. So Krishna should repaint this lac. So see Krishna, he's holding the feet of Radhika and he's trembling with prema. If you appreciate this, if you realize this and appreciate it, it is what? Tad anumodan atmakrasa. If you don't want anything, but your entire life is just, all happiness comes from this beautiful meeting of Radha and Krishna. See, Krishna says, "Oh Radhika, if I say that you are I am your Priya and you are my Prayasi, then I think this is just empty words. If I say that I am your Pran and you are my Pran, then this is just inappropriate. If I say, Radhika, you are mine and I am yours, then this is just not right. It's not correct. Why? Because to use these two words, I and you, is just inappropriate. Because they're in the state of pranay, where they feel that their bodies, their minds, their pran, their soul, everything is one. Radhika herself has said, Yat sneya pura britabhajana rajateka vyata gravatyamaladeepa yugam chakasti tats chaitaretara tamo panudat paroksham anandayeda kilapashvagata sadalihi. Radhika herself said that there is a lamp, an oil lamp. You know, the oil lamp is like this and it has oil inside and there's a wick with a flame. But Radhika said this lamp is different. The oil is pure sneha, affection. Sneha means greasy like oil. Love which is soft. So there is, this oil lamp is full of sneha, affection. And there's a wick inside it, but this wick is dipped in the sneha, and it has two ends and they're both coming out from the oil. And both ends have been lit. So there's a fire, there are two teardrop flames. And these flames, all their power is coming from the sneha, from the love. So Radhika said, oh Radha, that myself and Krishna, we are like that. That wick is our heart. We only have one heart between us. This wick is the heart of, I cannot say me and him, because this word, we should not use this word, Krishna himself said. So this is our heart, the one heart that we share. And the two flames, that's our bodies. So Radha Krishna's bodies are two bright shining forms of one heart, which are illuminated by the power of love only. And Radhika said that just as the two flames illuminate each other and also illuminate the 8 directions, so in the same way, we are the only source of happiness for each other, and we together are the only source of happiness. That means we dispel the darkness of suffering from the 8 directions and give the illumination of love to the Astasakis, Lalita, Vishaka, Chitta, Champakalata, Induleka, Tungamidhi, Rangadeva and Sudeva. Because without this meeting of Radha Krishna, then all the 8 directions, the Sakis, will be in complete darkness of suffering. And Radha Krishna's meeting is the only happiness for them. So, in this way, so much oneness, so much love. Krishna is overwhelmed that he's taking the lotus feet of Radhika in his hands. And Radhika indicates so. And the Manjuris, they know what to do. They have to bring the footlac. So then Ratamanjari comes there with the footlac and the brushes. And comes before Krishna. And Krishna takes the brush. But he's so overwhelmed with prema that he's trying to paint. But he's becoming stunned and trembling. And he cannot do it. So then Ratimanjari is watching this beautiful love of Radha and Krishna and thinking, oh, how sweetly incompetent he is. Because the Sakis and Manjaris, they're decorating Radhika every day. They're very expert. They can quickly do. But he's taking so long. And he's not doing it very well. So then, Rati Manjari tells Krishna, what are you doing? You are very neophyte in this. And she took the brush out of his hand in order to do it herself quickly, because the sun will rise and everyone will be coming out on the street and there'll be a big scandal. So we can't wait all day. So then Rati Manjari took it. But Radhika wanted that Krishna would do it. So then Radhika is sitting like this. And she takes her lotus foot and puts it on the head of Rati Manjari and like this. And all the Manjaris are laughing. Radhika is laughing. Rati Manjari is also laughing. Very sweet. And then on her head comes what? Rajat Paraga Patabasa Babhushanena. Very fragrant mixture. What is this mixture? This mixture is the lac of Radhika. Radhika's foot lac. But also mixed with kumkum. Why? Padma Payodaratati Parirambulagna Kashmira Mudita Maro Madhusudanasya Vyaktanu Ragam Anukela Dananga Keda Swedambu Pura Manupura Tiyu Priyamba. Sri Jayadev Goswami in Gita Govinda, he says that Krishna embraces Radhika for a long time. And Radhika's body was decorated in kumkum. And from perspiration, then this powder became like ink. And because Radhika was embraced very tightly by Krishna, in the morning when they woke up, there was a very beautiful print of Radhika's body on the chest of Krishna. You know, when we were children, we used to get a piece of paper and splat some paint on it. And then you fold it over, right? Like that. And then when you open it, it's the same on both sides. Huh? So when Radhika and Krishna let go of their embrace, Radhika is here and another Radhika is printed here. The chest of Radhika is printed on the chest of Krishna. So Vyaktanu Ragam, here it said that this kumkum is not some cosmetic. Actually, Vyaktanu Raga, the Anurag, the deep love in the heart of Radhika has manifested outwardly because she is Mahabhav Swarup. Everything is just made of Mahabhav. So the Anurag in her heart has manifested outside in the form of her cosmetics. And now this cosmetic has been printed on the chest of Krishna. May that imprint of Radhika on the chest of Krishna, which is the manifestation of the love within her heart, Swedambu Pura Manupura Tayu Priyamba, may that fulfill all your desires. Jayadev Goswami Pad said. So, when Krishna, seeing the love in the eyes of Radhika, could not help but hold Radhika's feet on his chest, now the kumkum from the body of Radhika had come onto the chest of Krishna where her body was printed there, and now her feet, Radhika's feet, were on his chest, and he was painting with lac. So now there's a mixture of the lac and the kumkum. How powerful is this? You cannot imagine. Purna Pulinda Urugaya Padabjaraga. The Pulindi girls, by touching the kumkum, what power was there? But this is kumkum and the foot lac also mixed together. And it's come onto the feet of Radhika. So, this cosmetic of Radhika was glorified by Krishna himself to Uddhav in the 11th canto. He said, Mat kama ramanam jaram aswarupa vido balaha Brahma mam paramam prapu sangat shata sahasrasaha. The meaning is this, that do you know what happened to those Pulindi girls? After Mali and Bringi, after they Spit on their faces and bodies. They went back to their village and they met with the other Pulindi girls. And those Pulindi girls met with other Pulindi girls. And the power of the touch of that kumkum gave such prem to them that whomever they met also got that prem, and whom they met got prem, and in this way, Sangakshata Sahasrasa. Even though those Pulindi girls, Asurupa Vidobala, they did not know that Krishna was God even. They were not aware of their own fallen and wretched condition even. But still, just by the touch of that kumkum, not only those Pulindi girls, but Sangat Shata Sahasrasa, 100,000 Pulindi girls, Matkama Ramanam Jarnam, attained Gopi Swarups and went to Goloka Vrindavan. Understand? Little kumkum from the breast of Radhika on the grass, and hundreds of thousands of Pulindi girls who had no sadhana, who knew nothing, were completely dirty and in the mode of ignorance. They all attained Gopi Swarups and went to Golok Vrindavan as his beloveds there. This is the power of this kumkum. And now it's mixed with Radhika's footlac. So how powerful is it? And then Radhika, seeing the Rati Manjari quarreling a little with Krishna, oh, give me that. You're taking all day. And then Radhika is going, boom, like this. It's like a stamp in your passport. No, Rati Manjari cannot see it, but the other Manjari see that now she became Chapmaradasi, Chapamara. That means when you you have to make an application, and your application is accepted, then the authorities they give a stamp like this. So now, Rati Manjari has become a Chapmaradasi. That means official Dasi. Fully accepted by Radhika. And all the other Manjaris are looking and then taking a mirror and showing. Rati Manjari saw, and she was so, Radhikara Dasi Jadi Hoy Abhiman. Such Abhiman. Oh, how fortunate to be the Dasi of Radhika. Touched by that aprakta vastu. Loka uttara padarthanam. What kind of tad ratim tad vishayam. What power is in that? What love she's feeling at that moment. But then at that very moment, then the paintbrush in her hand disappeared. Krishna, everything disappeared. And Raghunath Das Goswami found himself alone. And he's crying. Swapne pikim. Means even in a dream. Because he feels, actually, I'm not qualified to see such beautiful scenes with my eyes. I'm not qualified. That again in my life, I must have made some offense and now I've lost this spurti. I'm not qualified again to have such a spurti in my heart. So perhaps, swapne pikim, perhaps one night in a dream, I might dream of this moment. Sumukhi, that Radhika's face is so happy. Why? Because she's looking at Krishna as Krishna is bewildered by her, holding her beautiful lotus feet on his heart. So she's Sumukhi. When will that day come? And Raghunath Das Goswami is crying. Yo Brahma Sukha, Yo Brahma Ruja Sukhanarda Bhishma Mukhyai, Alakshita Nasahasa Purushasya Tasya, Sadyo Vasikaran Achurna Mananta Shaktim, Tamradika Puracharanarena Manusmarami. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur said that Brahma, Rudra, Bhishmadev, the 12 Mahajans, the 4 Kumaras, the Navayogendras, all these greatly qualified transcendental personalities, for them, Shama Sundar of Vrindavan is invisible. They cannot see him, he's invisible. So how will I see him? Especially his very intimate pastimes. How will it be possible? But, Sajova Sikkarana Churna Mananta Shaktim, there's a way that one can control Krishna in a second. There's a magic powder. by which Krishna becomes controlled in a second. What is that? Tam Radhika Charanarena Manusmarani, the dust of Radhika's lotus feet. So it's very, very rare to have darshan of Sri Krishna. What to speak of darshan of Gopinath Krishna? What to speak of darshan of Nikunj, Sri Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari Krishna? Very, very rare. But still, by the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, that desire has come in his heart. And he's weeping and crying for this. So, those who are in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami, their sadhana, all their hearing and chanting and remembering, is to aspire for such seva. So, the whole purpose of all the Sandarbhas written by Jiva Goswami, because he's the incarnation of Vilas Manjari, the whole purpose is only to open the door to us that we have a chance, that one day we can serve Radhika in that way. Srila Rupa Goswami prayed, Ha Devi Kaku Bara Gad Gad Yadyavacha Ya Chaini Patya Bhuvidanda Vadudbatati Asya Prasadam Abudasya Janaskritva Gandharvikeni Jagane Kananam Videhi. Hey Gandharvika, oh Radhika, I am weeping and rolling on the ground and crying in great pain. Please, please, even though I am quite ignorant, quite foolish, I am completely stupid and offensive, but I am just begging you, do one thing. You have a register of all your maidservants. Please, just write my name at the bottom. Add one more servant, one more name to the list of your dasis. I am praying only for this. So this is the purpose of all the Sandarbhas. To gradually give Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya the path, and then to understand what is Priti, all the levels of Priti, and the highest Priti is the Priti of Radhika. Through that Priti she tastes the greatest sweetness of Krishna like no one else. And only those who become the dasis of Radhika and serve her, they have the opportunity to experience that highest sweetness. Because Radhika's bhav, she has Yavadashray Briti. It spreads out from her. And even though the dasis, they're not qualified. No one is qualified to have Madanakya Mahabhav. No one. No one. But those who are very close to her, in those intimate moments, her bhav spreads out and they become vyapt. They become completely pervaded by that bhav that only Radhika has. And no one else can have. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world to give this. So he is called Mahavadanya, the most munificent incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Sachinandan Gohari ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad ki jai, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad ki jai, Srila Sanatan Goswami Pad ki jai, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami Pad ki jai, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami Pad ki jai, Sri Goswami Brinda ki jai, Bale Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Bale Sanyawal ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Sai Gaur Premanande. Shubhradeva ki jai. So now there will be Arti, and then we can meet with devotees that we haven't spoken to yet. Oh, we can. We can speak. After the Arti we can speak. So everyone, please, if you can, try to come to Navadvip for parikrama. And then after that, we'll go to Vrindavan for parikrama there. We'll go to Puri, we'll see. But at least take your ticket to go to Vrindavan. Sorry, to Navadvip. We'll meet in Navadvip. Pujari?
Pushpachi Kandraja Maharaj Pradesh